Good everybody. Shavua Tov. Good new week. Welcome as we continue in our Maimer Hasidic discourse. Anila Doidi, I am to my beloved, V'doidi li, my beloved is to me. L'chaim. So, the month of Elul, which we are in right now, that is the last month of the calendar year before we come to Tishrei, to come to Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. So we explained that the Yud Gimel Midas Harachmi, the 13 divine attributes of divine compassion, shine in the world. They shine in the world in a manner that gives us a Nesinas Koyach, an empowerment to come close to Hashem, to God. It's only an empowerment. It's not a heavenly revelation that, to give you an example from Klipa, from the negative side. What does it mean, a revelation of something that's beyond you that takes you over? Well, for some people, it might be a rock concert. Others, it might be another star, right? Singing sensation of the day. And you see how people just go into frenzy. Why? Because it's something that's beyond them, that is inspiring them. It's not their daily routine, not their daily, reaction to life. That could be. So that's Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. That's, now, so be it that we would be in a, a divine frenzy. But the Elul isn't like that. It's from below to above. The metaphor is the king is in the field. The metaphor for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is the king, God Almighty, is on his throne in an inner chamber, dressed in full garb. Oh, that definitely, creates an awesome experience for an individual. So we have a greater quality of divine revelation on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, because the king is in his inner chamber. But the problem with the king being in the inner chamber, he's not accessible to all. So where's the greater quality of revelation? Not quality, quantity of revelation, is when the king is in the field, the month of Elul. The king is in the field, the month of Elul. There's more opportunity to greet the king. He's not on his throne. He's not in his inner chamber, in his castle, which, till you get to the king and, coming through the many chambers of the king's castle, his palace, that itself is awe-inspiring. The beauty, the majesty. That's before even coming to the king. Imagine, wow. I mean, we'd have to have a good imagination since we don't have this today. But think the metaphor speaks for itself. So only the unique few get through, but in the inner, in the majestic palace of the king. However, it's only the few. Now, the month of Elul, everybody has an opportunity because the king is not dressed in his majestic clothing. He's not in his inner chamber in a beautiful palace. He's in the field. So there's more people having the opportunity. So the quantity is more of revelation, if you will, of the divine, but the quality is lesser. And therefore it's not, as it's not as exciting, if you will. If you got an invitation to the royal palace, think about it. If you got an invitation to the royal palace, oh, you feel important. You feel valued. And not only that, it's special to go there. So, that's a revelation from above, if you will, right? Even that alone. But if you are aware that the king is in the field and, you're not getting an invitation, but everybody is welcome. Everybody's welcome. So, even the pauper, the simpleton, the unrefined person. So it's not as exciting. And therefore it's something you have to want. So we call it only an empowerment, not a lofty revelation. But the uniqueness is it is an empowerment for everybody. Because everybody can go to greet the king in the field. Everybody has that opportunity, but you have to want. You have to want it. So this is the month of Elul. You have to want to get close to God. The opportunity is there for all of us. Right? The opportunity is there for all of us. Okay? You can't make someone want. You have to want that. You have to want that. You have to. Sometimes you don't want something. You have to sometimes want to want. I want to really want that, but I really don't. That is also something. And that's why it's only an empowerment in the sinus koyach in the month, right? As opposed to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. But the only way you're going to be invited to the inner chamber on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is if you preface the month of Elul and have the proper preparation in the month of Elul, then you'll be able to come into the inner chamber and to experience something that's awesome. Of course, everybody can come to synagogue on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Everybody can hear the shofar on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the experience of being in the inner palace, of the awesome experience of that connection. You're not going to get that awesome experience if you didn't go through the month of Elul and greet the king in the field first. Okay, but we're now in Elul. We have the opportunity. Okay, now the Rebbe asks the following question on this metaphor, because the metaphor of the Alter Rebbe is that the king is in the field and whoever wants, right, can come to greet the king. Now, that should be the end of the metaphor. But the metaphor continues, right? The metaphor continues and says that the king greets everybody with a fine countenance, pun intended, and with a wide smile. So the Rebbe asks that doesn't seem to be part of the analog, right? Because what's the analog? The analog is that we did our job in the month of Elul of we come closer to God, come closer to the divine in us. And that's how you come closer to God. And that allows us that Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, we can enter the inner palace. But that's Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur entering the inner palace. That's seemingly when, you're getting greeted, when you're getting greeted by the king in the inner palace. That's the consequence of what happens from the month of Elul, that we went to greet the king. Right. Why would that be part of the metaphor for the month of Elul? That seems to be the consequence of the work that we do now. In other words, the metaphor should just be that we went to the field to greet the king. The month of Elul is that we come to connect to God, which is the 13 divine attributes of divine compassion. In this month, the king is in the field. Right? Furthermore, why do we need in the metaphor 2 points? That he greets everybody with a fine countenance and has a wide smile for everybody. I have one of them. Why do you need both? He has a wide smile, seemingly would include fine countenance. And furthermore, the metaphor is so precise, as we're going to learn. When it comes to showing a fine countenance, the term that's used is mikabel. He receives everyone with a fine countenance. Receives everybody that way. As opposed to when he shows a wide smile, it says mareh, that he shows, not that he receives. Now, it's a different term, brings out more or less the same idea, but nothing that the sages of Israel say is, not with precision. It's totally precise. So using a different term to express how a person presents themselves, receiving with a fine countenance, and specifically fine countenance you're receiving. Why? And that you're showing a wide smile. There's a very precise terminology here, which we need to understand. Okay, B'yesh Leimar. So these are questions that the Rebbe has on the Alter Rebbe, right? Alter Rebbe, of course, is the author of the Tanya. This is his metaphor that he gives of the king being in the field. And these are the questions that the Rebbe has on his metaphor. And now he's going to give his explanation. He says, we have to first preface and appreciate the novelty and the uniqueness and what's in the month of Elul that we say that the 13 divine attributes of divine compassion are being revealed then. And that's the metaphor of the king in the field, right? And what's the novelty over the awesome revelation of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur? It's in two ideas. And in that, what's important here, that without the month of Elul and the divine service that we need in this month, we can't reach the Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur appropriately. Again, life could be that you just go live on autopilot through life without an awareness and a deep connection. And that's how much of life is lived by most people, excluding everybody that's here right now, right? You're here now because you don't want to live on autopilot. You want to live a deeper, more meaningful life. So that's why you want to learn from the Hasidic discourse on how we live through this month and get to the next month for a new year, a blessed new year. That should be written and sealed for a Shana Tova Masuka, for a good and sweet year. So, therefore, we want to live through the month of Elul in a way that brings us to Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur in the appropriate manner. So this is prefacing it. So what is the novelty over here? So in the analog, the Nimshal, the uniqueness of the month of Elul is that I have to accept God, right, as my king. The human condition is, and my animal within me, my instinct, the instinct of all of us, which is the animal in me, is that I want to run my own life. I want to be the authority over myself. I want to be my own king. Don't tell me what to do. Even God don't tell me what to do, right? That's the idea of, that's what the animal soul wants. It wants its own survival, right? What is an animal? It lives on survival instinct. So the animal in us lives not just in physical survival, but emotional, psychological, mental survival. That's what it wants, right? So what do we need to do? We need to rise above that, not to live that kind of life. That's living on autopilot, as an animal does. It lives on its instincts. That's autopilot. Therefore, what do we have to do is accept something greater than me. I'm not the king. God is. He rules. He runs the world, not me. Right? What do you do when you're out of control? You want to control others, right? That's the animal instinct that we all have, because the animal's out of control. So our nature is to control others. So the first thing we need to know, no, I got to be in control of myself. And that I need to submit to something greater than me. God, he's the king. Again, my natural instinct isn't to do that. My natural instinct is I want you to submit to me. I'm king. That's my animal instinct. That's the survival. And when I say submit to me, I don't mean that I'm going to control you. That doesn't mean I'm going to be your master and you got to listen to me. What it just simply means is you got to submit to what I want and what I need from you. Then we have a connection. Meaning, I like you really. I like you. You know why? Because you tell me funny jokes that make me feel good. You are sweet as pie to me. So I really like you. So that's, me living for me. I'm the king, and you're serving me. You're serving my needs. So the first thing we need to know is no, I'm here to serve God's needs. That's accepting him as my king. That itself is. That's what this month is. And hmm, okay. Just remember at the Liesh Leimar, didn't realize, my gosh, I got carried away with this idea. More to come. We'll see you soon, folks. Thank you for joining. God bless.